The superpower that every citizen has is the ability to control where they spend their time, money, and attention. By focusing these on supporting local businesses, you are having a profound impact on your friends, your family, and your local community. So if you want to change the world, you can start with buying local.
Cerrone Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning has offered residential and commercial plumbing, heating and cooling installation, and repair and maintenance services to our community for over 25 years. Their professionally trained plumbers and HVAC technicians are capable of completing any job beginning to end, and they promise to deliver unmatched customer service in the process. Cerrone Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us on Buying Local. I'm your host, Mike Nelson from 5 Towers Media. Joined today by Charles Amodio with FAZ Forensics. Charlie, how are we doing?
Good. How you doing?
I'm doing all right. Hanging in there. I'm just seeing your background, Charles. Is that your actual wall?
It is. I actually bought this. I don't know. It's like a sticky wallpaper. It's the 12th hole at Augusta, Georgia, where they play the Masters. So,
very nice.
I'm a big golf fan, so I instead of hanging all my degrees and certifications up, I figured something a little different, and it's got a nice warm feel to the office, that's for sure.
Oh, it looks really nice. Well, and I know that you've got a nice little view out your window as well there of the park down in Saratoga. So
yeah, we got the. I'm looking out right now overseeing the Congress Park and the casino, and it's a nice spot.
Beautiful. It's beautiful. So Charlie, for people that don't know what FAZ Forensics does, why don't you give our listeners a quick rundown as far as what you guys do? And
So we're a boutique forensic accounting firm, and what that means is we don't do taxes, we don't do traditional accounting work. People are always asking me, they have a tax question for you. I'm like, don't ask me a tax question. I know enough. I know enough to be dangerous, but I'm not a tax expert. But we do forensic accounting and business valuation. Okay, typically our work is sourced through law firms. We do a lot of work with attorneys and litigation, as well as insurance companies. But essentially we're hired to decipher various financial issues and things along those lines.
And as far as like when you say decipher, like what does that mean as far as like what you're looking at or where you're finding this information that you have to decipher?
So typically what happens is I'll give you an example. Let's say we get involved in a business valuation for a divorce. Husband and wife are getting a divorce. One spouse owns the business, and we need to value the business so they could divide up the assets in the marital estate. So we will look at the business records, the records for that particular business, and do an evaluation of the of the actual value of the business. So conduct a business valuation for that business. And
I think you said you're typically brought in by the attorneys.
Yes.
Are there cases where you're brought in by someone else other than attorneys? Like, do business owners hire you, or how does that work?
In some situations, most of our referrals come through law offices, because typically, like in a divorce setting, or you're dealing with matrimonial attorneys. But in other situations, if somebody has a problem and a company has a problem, the first call is usually their attorney.
Okay.
Right? If they have some kind of a financial issue, it's kind of an irregularity. They think they may need a forensic accountant, they'll call their attorney. Sometimes, we'll, in a lot of situations, they'll call their attorney, and then, hopefully the attorney will call us. In some situations, we get called directly by a business owner, but that's usually a little more rare. Usually their first call is to the attorney, and then we get involved with the attorney.
Okay. All right. And how long have you guys been doing this? I mean, this is a pretty specialized thing, right?
It is. Yeah, I've been doing forensic accounting for almost 25 years now. I think in I think in June of this year, or at the end, yeah, June of this year, it'll be 25 years in forensic accounting.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah. And my first
And
couple of years, I did traditional accounting and some tax work for the first couple of years, along with forensic accounting. But after about 2 years, I became full time doing the forensic accounting work.
okay. And I mean, how does so you were we'll say a regular accountant. I don't know if that's the term, but so you're doing your typical accounting, and then you got into forensic work. Like, how did that all come about? How did you get into the forensic side of things?
So the terminology they use is traditional accounting,
traditional. Yes, sorry.
Yeah, for a lack of a better term, I kind of fell bass backwards into it.
Okay.
It was I had interviewed with a public accounting firm. They asked me if I'd be interested in doing traditional work, and oh, by the way, we have some forensic accounting that we need help with. Would you be interested in forensic accounting? And I'm like, oh, well, what's that? So I got involved in the forensic accounting aspect. I just started working on cases, and I like that type of work. I enjoyed that type of work, and saw an opportunity to grow that part of the practice for the firm I was with, and basically gave up all of my traditional accounting assignments and went into forensic full time.
What is it that you like about the forensic stuff?
I just like the investigative nature of the forensic accounting. Looking at numbers, looking at different situations, dealing with different companies and different individuals. It's a lot of variety. I mean, I think through my experience in forensic accounting, I've seen some. One of the areas I specialize in is business interruption claims, and that's when a company has a fire, a flood, or some kind of a covered peril, and they're shut down for a period of time. And we'll get brought in to evaluate their loss of income for that period of time. So a lot of times I'm doing site visits, and so I've gone to various entities and companies across the Northeast, and saw some really I've seen some really interesting manufacturers, a lot of egg farms and chicken farms and various farms. We work with a company that does a lot of farm insurance. So definitely got my fill on some of those farming claims.
I mean, that's obviously close to my heart, all the farm stuff. And that actually immediately makes me think of the fires that are happening in Texas right now, right? And so there's obviously a lot of losses that are happening with those farmers. Is that something that not these cases, but something like that specifically, like you'd get brought in after the fact to kind of see, like basically if I'm saying this correctly, you get brought in to put a value on the loss itself? Is that?
Yeah. What happens is that in most situations, a company has a policy to cover their loss of profits if they have some kind of a covered peril. When I say covered peril, like not everything is covered, right? Yeah. So if you have a fire, that's typically covered. You have some kind of a wind damage or something along those lines. Whatever it may be, it has to be covered. Ice damage, roof collapse, things like that.
Okay.
What happens is they'll have this loss and they'll be shut down for a period of time. It could be 3, 6, 9, 12 months, whatever it may be. And what we'll do is we'll take a look at the company's historical financial records and any projections they have, and try to estimate what we feel that the loss of profits would be for a period of time, whether it's 3, 6, 9, 12 months, whatever is determined by the adjuster on the case.
Okay. And what about I guess what do you think is one of the crazier thing? I don't know if you're allowed to talk about that stuff, if there's rules on that, but if you can talk about it, what's one of the crazier things that you've seen from a investigative standpoint?
Well, we deal with a lot of individual lost earnings claims.
Okay.
And so we, in these claims where, people are involved in an automobile accident, they can't work for a period of time. Most of these individuals are self-employed. So the insurance carriers don't know what to pay these individuals on a regular basis, because they, if they're a W-2 employee, it's pretty easy to calculate their monthly income, right?
Yep.
But when they're employed, it's not so easy. I've dealt with we commonly deal with situations where individuals are not for a lack of a better term, not always upfront with us with the information. Okay. I'm sorry.
They're not very transparent with.
Not transparent. That's a good word to use. Not very transparent. Those situations are very unique, and we got to decipher through some of those issues and things like that. I mean, in some situations, the information they provide us contradicts what they're telling us, and so those are always challenges. I guess we talk about like unique situations. I mean, we've again dealt with some pretty interesting manufacturers over the years, and just having an opportunity to visit some of these manufacturers and going into their plants and working with them.
Yeah.
I think just you meet the owners of the company. They're a lot of times in some of these situations they're in a small town in the Northeast, and they employ a lot of people in this town, and really just trying to help them along and trying to get the claim settled as quickly as possible so they can get paid and be on their way. I will say one of the claims I worked on was a farming claim in Western New York, and it's a farm that had been around for been a family farm for a couple of 100 years, and just dealing with these individuals. I mean, the owners, it was all family that worked in the business, and just a great group of people to work with. Whatever we needed, they provided. They were very transparent. Those situations are very common, and it's just I really enjoy working on those types of cases.
Yeah. Well, farmers are good people, Charlie. It's.
And I'll say this, even in addition to that particular case, most farmers keep very good records, and that bodes well when we're requesting information for some of these farm losses. And I say that because not everybody keeps the best records, but farmers know what their profit margins on to the exact penny.
Oh, yeah.
And they are really on top of that information. And that's just been my experience. And not to say that other industries aren't like that, but from the farmers that I've worked with over the years, they've done a really good job of getting us the information we need, and obviously are very transparent with the information.
So I was thinking about this as I was getting ready for the podcast, and I was wondering, for a forensic accountant, what does day to day look like? Are you combing through people's books? Are you in and out of court dates? What does it typically look like?
Probably all of the above.
Oh, yeah.
Just a day, So a lot of work. In my specific role, I do a lot of business development, networking, marketing, things along those lines. So I'm constantly meeting with attorneys or trusted advisors to try to bring in new business referrals to the firm in all aspects, whether it's business valuation, whether it's fraud and financial investigations or economic damages, any of those areas. I'm trying to develop new business. From a technical standpoint, just basically trying to work on analyses and reports for cases and try to get them to a point to either send them to an insurance company or a law firm.
And I know you had said too, you guys have been growing quite a bit recently, doing a lot of hiring, adding people to the team. What do you think? Does your like your company culture come into play? Like, like again, I think of accountants. I know a lot of people think of accountants, and I'm sure that conjures up specific ideas about things. I'm just wondering about, as you're out there hiring and looking for talent, does culture come into play, or what really do you think is, because workforce development is just such a huge pain point for a lot of people right now, right? So just wondering, like, what is helping you guys be so successful in finding and recruiting talent?
Yeah, we take firm culture and core values very seriously. We want to, our hires all, typically fit into our core values. We're looking, at individuals that, obviously you want somebody to have the technical experience and but and the aptitude to work on financial analyses and things along those lines, and that's usually a given, but it's the it's the individuals, again, core values that are important. And we have 7 core values, and we want to make sure that when we hire an individual that they meet at least 5 of those 7 core values. I think we try to live and breathe that. We try to live and breathe the core values every day. And I will say this: we're very fortunate. Our we have a very good staff. They make coming to work enjoyable every day. They just have a good attitude, and so I think from that standpoint, our firm culture is very good, and we want to keep. So as we grow and hire new people, we want to, continue down that path and hire, those folks that are a good cultural fit for us.
Yep. Yeah, that's those values, that's definitely a big part of finding the right people, right? I guess it's probably easy to find people, but finding the right people is the trick.
Finding the right people in the right seats.
Yeah, right people, right seats.
Yeah.
The other thing I wanted to ask you about too is, I know, obviously, I'm a member of Meeting Point, the group that you guys put on, and maybe just want to talk a little bit about Meeting Point and about what you guys are doing over there as well.
Yeah, so Meeting Point is a networking group that I started about a little 4 years ago. And it's modeled after a group called USA 500. And I had met with the CEO of USA 500 a number of years ago when we actually tried to bring a chapter to the capital region, and it just didn't work from their standpoint. It was just maybe too far to service Albany from Boston and New York City. So he came to me, actually. He actually drove to Saratoga one day, took me to lunch, and him and I talked about the framework of setting up a networking group in the area. And so Meeting Point, yeah. So Meeting Point, we started our first chapter in October of 19, and had 5 great meetings, and then COVID hit. We went virtual for a while, after that, and then and that was our Albany chapter we had started in October of 19. So shortly into 2020, we started talking about a Saratoga chapter, and we started that chapter in, I think, August of 2020. It was all virtual. And then eventually, as we got into 21, we started meeting more face to face, and doing our regular monthly meetings and stuff. But in any event, but Meeting Point is a collection of attorneys and financial professionals, and the idea is that within each chapter, you have attorneys and financial professionals in various niches, and the goal is for everyone to refer business to one another. So again, we started our Albany chapter October of 19, Saratoga chapter in August of 20. We actually have a Hudson Valley chapter, so we started a Hudson Valley chapter in January 22, and then just recently in September of last year, we started our Glens Falls chapter. So we have 4 chapters. Each chapter meets once a month. And, we have some really great people in all 4 chapters. And for me, this has been very rewarding. I've met so many people that I would never have met had it not been for, starting these groups
Yeah.
and trying to facilitate growth within these chapters and, bringing in new members. So it's been a really, great experience for me.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, likewise, I know that being a member in the Saratoga chapter and then Glens Falls has been great. Same, met a lot of good people. I've gotten I'd say a good amount of business out of it. I wouldn't say a lot of business, but I don't even know how to quantify it. But it's just from the not just the direct referrals from people in the group, but also just from expanding the network, and then you meet people through those people, and it's definitely it's been a refreshing group to be a part of too, just because of the format, and it's I feel like you've got the right touch of professionalism with an air of camaraderie and community at the same time. So it's nice.
Yeah. And again, and the nice thing about these groups is, again, we meet once a month, and and then we have these in between monthly meetings where we pair you up with other members of the group to kind of get to know each other a little better, to help you better refer business to one another. But one of the other things we also try to do is we do these panel discussions. There's a panel discussion and a networking aspect of it. Obviously we have one coming up at the end of this month, and you're actually one of the panelists on that.
Yeah,
panelists.
Right, I am.
Absolutely. So, and again, those types of events are great because there's an educational component to it, a knowledge component to it. And then there's the social and the networking part of it, which I think people enjoy as well. So, we have, I think we have more than 40 people signed up for that event right now, and we're probably gonna get more before the actual event. So I'm really looking forward to that.
Yeah, we're still a few weeks away from that, like two weeks.
The 27th, yeah.
27th, yes. Oh yeah. So 20 days away. So yeah, that'll be good. I'm looking forward to that. Looking forward to see what the other panelists have to say. I mean, I know we've talked a little bit about it, but AI is just such a hot button item right now. So it's going to be great.
It is. I think it'll be a very engaging discussion, and the plan is to do the panel discussion, for an hour, and then do the networking and cocktails and things like that afterwards. But I don't know. We may have to extend that 1 hour because I could see a lot of questions and a lot of good conversations, and might be a challenge to try to cut everybody off and jump into the networking piece of it. But I think it's it's going to bring people together. It's going to give people an opportunity to meet some new people within other chapters. So this is going to be a collaboration of all of our chapters, which will be great. Yeah,
that's awesome. What I know we're getting short on time. I don't want to keep your afternoon, but to kind of bring it back to FAZ a little bit, if you were going to tell listeners, one thing about FAZ, what do you think it would be to kind of help them understand who you are and what you're about?
Yeah, I mean, we're a forensic accounting firm, and what does that mean to somebody? I mean, typically, again, it probably doesn't mean much to, somebody that's not in the litigation world, right? Mm-hmm. But I guess the thing about us that I guess to inform the general public about is, again, we're not traditional accountants. We don't do tax work. We don't do audits. We are investigative accountants. Okay, we investigate financial issues and help decipher financial issues and put them into layman's terms. Okay, so again, a lot of that work that we do in litigation, that's what we do for law firms. Okay, we take financial information and we make sense of it so they can understand it, so they can help represent them, and so they can use that information in the case they're working on. So again, it's typically, obviously, the cases that we're getting involved in is always a financial, there's always some kind of a financial component to it, and the attorney has a need, and we fill that need. We help them understand this financial issue, provide them with a report, provide them with an analysis, and that way they could try to help them eventually settle a case that they're working on.
That's awesome. So if people want to learn more about you guys, about what you do, about whether or not you can help them, or how do they find you guys?
So obviously we're on the website. We have our website at FAZForensics.com. Or they can, call me or email me, Amodio at FAZForensics.com. Be happy to answer any questions they have.
That's awesome. Well, I appreciate you coming on, Charlie, taking the time, and your patience is always appreciated as always. So as we had our little technical hookup at the beginning of the show here, so
goes it. I probably do 10 to 15 Zoom calls a week, and there's always going to be some kind of a technical hiccup here or there, but it's just the nature of the beast, which is fine.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, sir. I appreciate it. Thanks for coming on, and well, I'm sure we'll talk soon.
Sounds good. Thanks, Mike.
All right. Thanks, sir.
Talk to you later.
When the crew shows up on the job, they're going to have a folder that's going to give them exactly everything that I saw right at my first inspection. They would make sure that your kitchen is completely covered in plastic, make sure that 100% of the water and degreaser that is being used to clean your system is all going exactly where we want it to go. After everything is protected, we go through the whole system, scraping it all down. We would apply our degreaser, do a complete rinse through, and once the system is cleaned completely to bare metal, we wipe the whole hood system out, polish it, take the canopy down, pack everything away, and put everything back the way it was, and we're out of there.
Performance Industrial.
The superpower that every citizen has is the ability to control where they spend their time, money, and attention. By focusing these on supporting local businesses, you are having a profound impact on your friends, your family, and your local community. So if you want to change the world, you can start with buying local.